Imagine if you never aged. No wrinkles, no gray hair, and no bad knees from doing absolutely nothing. Sounds like a dream, right? Well, while we humans are over here trying to defy aging with fancy creams and questionable health trends, some animals have already cracked the code to immortality. Yes, real-life creatures that can, in theory, live forever. And no, they're not vampires, though that would be pretty cool. So grab your snack, because today, we're diving into the fascinating world of animals that just refuse to die. And trust me, some of them are as weird as your uncle's conspiracy theories at Thanksgiving dinner. Title: Animals that can live forever. Vertical bar. Here's their secret to immortality. Alright, let's talk about the undisputed champion of biological immortality, the Turritopsis dohrnii, also known as the immortal jellyfish. This tiny, unassuming creature is so special that it has left scientists scratching their heads for decades. Now, most animals have a pretty straightforward life cycle: birth, growth, aging, and death. But the immortal jellyfish? It looked at that cycle and said, "Nah, I'm good." Instead of dying when it reaches the end of its life, this jellyfish has the unique ability to reverse its aging process and literally start over. When it's injured, sick, or facing stress, it transforms back into its baby form, also known as a polyp. Think about it like this. Imagine if, every time you got old, instead of dealing with bad knees and back pain, you could just turn back into a child and start life fresh. That's exactly what this jellyfish does, and it can theoretically repeat this process forever, hence the name Immortal. What's the secret? The immortal jellyfish undergoes a process called transdifferentiation, where its adult cells transform back into young cells. This is like a butterfly turning back into a caterpillar whenever it wants. Scientists are studying this jellyfish because if humans could replicate this process, we could potentially find ways to slow down aging, heal damaged organs, or even unlock the secret to eternal youth. Sounds like science fiction, right? But it's happening right now in the deep ocean. Now, before you start planning to become a jellyfish in your next life, let's be real. This little creature isn't completely invincible. It can still get eaten by predators, destroyed by pollution, or trapped in a fishing net. But when it comes to natural death from aging, this jellyfish simply said, "Not today, death, not today." Next up, we have the bowhead whale, aka the ocean's oldest grandpa. These massive creatures can grow up to 60 feet long and weigh as much as 90,000 pounds. That's heavier than 10 elephants. But the real jaw-dropper? They can live for more than 200 years. That means there are bowhead whales swimming around today that were born before the United States had light bulbs. Let that sink in. Some of these whales were alive during the days of Napoleon, the Civil War, and the invention of the steam engine. But how do they live so long? Well, scientists believe bowhead whales have extraordinary DNA repair mechanisms, allowing their cells to stay healthier for longer. Unlike humans, whose cells deteriorate over time, these whales resist aging and diseases like cancer. Basically, their genetic makeup is like a supercharged anti-aging serum that keeps them thriving for centuries. And here's where things get crazy. Scientists actually discovered a bowhead whale with a harpoon lodged in its body from the 1800s. That means this whale survived an attack over a century ago and just kept swimming. Imagine walking around with a medieval sword stuck in your back and just living your best life. That's the bowhead whale's reality. So while these creatures aren't technically immortal, they're one of the longest living vertebrates on Earth, outlasting entire generations of humans. If whales could talk, they'd have some wild stories to tell. Alright, let's talk about lobsters. Yes, the same ones people dip in butter at fancy restaurants. But did you know that lobsters don't age the way most animals do? In fact, they technically don't die of old age. They just keep growing, and growing, and growing until something takes them out. Unlike humans, whose cells slow down and break down over time, lobsters produce an enzyme called telomerase, which repairs their DNA indefinitely. This means they don't suffer from natural aging the way we do. Instead of getting weaker as they grow older, they just get bigger, stronger, and even more fertile. Theoretically, a lobster could live forever, but they have one fatal flaw. As they grow, their exoskeletons get too big and heavy, making it harder for them to shed their shells. Eventually, they either get eaten, crushed, or exhaust themselves to death trying to molt. And get this. The largest lobster ever recorded was 44 pounds and estimated to be 140 years old. That's an ancient sea monster just chilling at the bottom of the ocean. Imagine if humans never stopped growing. We'd have 100-year-old grandpas the size of skyscrapers, but instead of enjoying their potentially immortal status, lobsters often end up on dinner plates. It's the ultimate irony. Congratulations! You figured out how to beat aging. Oh wait, you taste amazing? Too bad. Ooh. Now, if you thought the immortal jellyfish was wild, wait until you meet the hydra, a microscopic freshwater creature that is practically indestructible. These tiny tube-like creatures have one of the most mind-blowing superpowers in nature. They don't age. At all. Scientists have studied them for decades and have never seen one die of natural causes. Their secret? Their bodies are constantly regenerating. They replace old cells before they ever get damaged, meaning they never experience aging or decay. To put this in perspective, if a hydra loses its head, it just grows a new one. If you chop it into pieces, each piece becomes a new hydra. It's like Wolverine's healing powers, but cranked up to 100. So what does this mean for science? Well, if we could understand how hydras regenerate their bodies so efficiently, we might unlock new ways to heal wounds, slow down aging, or even regrow human limbs. Sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, right? But it's already happening under a microscope right now. So, what do you think? Which of these near-immortal creatures blew your mind the most? Would you rather be a jellyfish that resets its age, a whale that outlives empires, or a lobster that never stops growing? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this mind-blowing journey into nature's most unstoppable creatures, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more crazy animal facts. Now we can't talk about long-living animals without mentioning the absolute OG of longevity, the giant tortoise. These slow-moving, hard-shelled grandpas of the animal kingdom are basically real-life time travelers. Some of them have been alive since before the invention of the telephone. Take Jonathan the tortoise, for example. He's currently the oldest known living land animal at 191 years old. Born in 1832, this guy has lived through 2 world wars, the invention of cars, the moon landing, and the entire history of the internet. Imagine being older than photography and still chilling, eating lettuce and ignoring everyone. Here's where it gets really interesting. Scientists believe that giant tortoises barely age at all. Unlike most animals, which get weaker and sicker over time, these tortoises maintain their strength and health well into their old age. In fact, they don't really die of old age in the traditional sense. Instead, they just keep going until external factors, like disease or accidents, take them out. So what's their secret? Slow metabolism? Because they move at sloth-like speeds, their bodies don't wear out as fast. Super efficient DNA repair, their cells don't deteriorate like human cells do. A drama-free life. They don't stress, they don't rush, and they don't care about deadlines. Basically, if humans could copy their biology, we might all be living centuries-long, stress-free lives. But for now, the giant tortoise holds the crown as one of nature's longest-living land creatures. So the next time you see a tortoise just vibing at 1 mile per hour, know that he's outliving generations of humans while doing absolutely nothing. Now that's the real flex. Okay, get ready for this. There's a creature out there that has been alive for more than 10,000 years. That's older than the pyramids, the Great Wall of China, and even written history itself. And no, it's not a dinosaur frozen in ice. It's a glass sponge. Now I know what you're thinking. Wait, isn't a sponge just a sponge? Well, not exactly. Glass sponges are deep-sea organisms made of silica, the same stuff as glass, and they grow at an insanely slow rate. Some species, like the hexactinellid sponge, have been found to be over 10,000 years old, making them the longest living creatures on Earth. So how did they live so long? Well, for starters, they live in the deepest, coldest parts of the ocean, where almost nothing happens. No predators, no pollution, and no drama. Just chilling in the abyss for thousands of years, minding their own business. But here's the craziest part. These sponges don't have hearts, brains, or muscles, yet they continue to grow, filter water, and thrive for millennia. Imagine sitting in the same spot for 10,000 years just vibing and existing. That's the glass sponge's whole life. Scientists study these sponges because their ultra-slow aging process could help us understand how to extend human lifespans. If we could mimic their cellular resilience, who knows? Maybe we'd all be living for centuries. But for now, these deep-sea grandmasters hold the record for being the longest living animals on Earth.